All right, we are live on Bench Talk Live. All right, and a quick shout out to our podcast, The Benchcast. You can check that out on Spotify, on iTunes, really wherever you listen to podcasts. Appreciate everyone joining in. If you haven't heard our Thursday episodes, we got some real fire Thursday episodes. They're more shorter. They're about 15 minutes usually on the average versus this podcast where it's more about that hour time period that we're on here live. So definitely check out the podcast the Benchcast. All right, we have the live podcast here and your Thursday episodes are a little bit shorter. Sip of coffee for the working man first. Straight espresso. You know the deal, guys. All right, appreciate everyone joining in. I got an awesome episode for you today. Just making sure my mic's actually going. We have a lot of questions. We had a lot of questions rolling through Instagram stories the other day. So thank you for everyone who participated in dropping a question. Really appreciate that. We have a lot to get through. So I guess I'll kick it off with the first one. Sir Bench a lot. Tony Carlino. He is going to be the next 1,000-pound bencher. Mark my words on that. He's looking great. He asked, when are you gonna try out a bench daddy type shirt? I mean, those banded shirts. And then I also had another someone asked me, Big Jake Lifts. He asked me thoughts on banded shirts. So same type of thing. This is a hot topic right now, guys, especially in the equipped powerlifting community. We just had the recent all-time world record by Tiny Meeker get broken, 11:05 by Will Barati, and he used a Kruger bench shirt, and it's one of those quote-unquote banded shirts. So it's stirring up a good deal of controversy. All right, so I've been asked my thoughts on banded shirts. Do they have a place in powerlifting? Should they be their own separate division? We saw Open Powerlifting kind of come out and do a poll where, should banded shirts be in its own category? Now, at the root of it, guys, quick lifting's always been about progression. It's always been about lifting the most weight. It started off as these shirts were meant to support your bodies, which they do. But then they advance so much that it's such restrictive material that you get so much out of the shirt. It's not an unknown thing that I get about 400 plus out of my bench shirt. Okay, that's a lot. Um, a banded shirt. The thing with these guys is it kind of flips everything upside down because you can throw on this type of shirt and instantly gain 200 something plus on your bench because it's similar to a slingshot. It's not going to have to change the groove so much to get it down. So it's very quick entry for someone who's just starting out. Where a bench shirt, a lot of technique and precision that goes into it. It's just an entirely different groove and could be argued it's an entirely different lift almost in itself. We're talking raw versus equipped, how different that can be. Now a band shirt versus an poly shirt can be very different as well. So I like the progression of trying to lift the most weight. If these guys can get this advantage out of the shirt, lift the most weight, I'm all for it. I do think it might be a great idea to have a separate division for it. We do for single ply, we do for multiply. Why not have one for these different types of shirt? The only reason I say that is because the point of entry. All right, the point of entry is so low. You throw one of these on, you're instantly getting a lot out of that shirt. Okay, so that's why I say probably make it its own division. But to be honest with you guys, to answer Tony's questions, I've tried a Bench Daddy shirt. I've tried Rich Putnam's Bench Freak shirt, which I assume is pretty similar to that Kruger shirt. All these banded materials, I could not set up how I normally set up. I just had a really hard time. Just the way the shirt's formed, I can't really be tucked underneath it. I kind of have to spread out on it. It affects my ability to arch a lot, and I actually am hindered by the shirts. I can't lift as much in those shirts. I get a lot out of having a short range of motion. I'm just not as strong as these guys. My raw bench does not stack up with some of these guys. They have brute strength. I've seen Rich Putnam take out a shit ton of weight, and then all of a sudden he's just steady with it. For me, it's much more precision. I'm getting 400 plus out of my shirt because I'm dialing in every aspect. I'm not as strong as these guys, bare bones, but I can try to hang on my own by really maximizing what I can cut and range of motion and get out of the technique. Okay, and maximize my, I went down from the four peg here down to the three. I've been really working on driving into the pad, as you guys seen too in our videos lately. Um, so yeah, I'm all about that, really keeping that precision sport. For me, it's all, I would love to use a poly anyway because how it's grooved, how it's different. So these bandit shirts are just it's so kind of out there. I love the progression idea, but I do think it would be best maybe settling for having its own division. Okay, so I'm totally for making that a separate thing. Okay, not to take anything away from like Will Barati's 1105. I mean, it's unbelievable lift, and he totally smoked it. If you guys haven't seen that video, he lifted that like it was an empty bar. That thing flew up. It was very, very impressive. And just to have that weight while it's bending over you, I mean, it doesn't change anything, guys. I mean, wearing those shirts, it's still heavy as shit. So it doesn't change anything in how much you're supported at the top. I'll tell you that. It just makes for a longer range for me. So I don't favor with those, but the weight's still heavy as shit. So he still had 1105 in his hands. Trust me that. Um, but yeah, I do think that would probably be best served as its own separate division. Appreciate everyone joining in. Thanks for tuning in to Bench Talk Live. Hope y'all set your reminders. I posted on our story. Uh, Set your reminders for today to join us in live here. The chicken dealer. I love that, my friend. I used to, I quote unquote, sling chicken. I was in a part time job I had at one point where it was a fried chicken place, pretty much, and I was delivering chicken all over the island. So uh, I love that name, the chicken dealer. I should have took that back in the day. What's your favorite tricep accessory for hypertrophy? I've gotten this question too, right here. Jose Fernandez says, best accessories for bench. Now, I don't say there's a best accessory. I don't want to give you a specific exercise because, especially when we're talking triceps, there's such a broad range of exercises you can do that it really comes down to personal preference. I mean, switching it up time to time, of course, is going to be very valuable. So you don't want to just stick with one forever either. The best for hypertrophy, really whatever you feel working your triceps more. If you really stumble on an exercise like I'm doing incline tricep kickbacks. All right, I haven't done these in a while. I get fresh to them again, and it hits you in a different way. It's a different angle. It's a different type of activation of the triceps, and I'm sore the next day, and I love that. I love varying up different movements. I wouldn't say any's better than the other. Don't do one that bothers you, of course. If it hurts your elbow or nothing, don't do that. That would be dumb. There's just so many different angles and exercises you can create. I just came up with this banded tape press. I ain't seen no one really doing that before. It just kind of came to me one day. I was like, wow, this is really gonna mimic how we bench press. And I've been slamming these banded tape presses. You can see that on our Instagram story. Um, that's a movement that I've really grown to love. Yeah, I didn't see that before, so I was like, hey, we're gonna do it. It simulates a tape press. So we could call it the banded tape press. So definitely check that out. Start throwing that to your routine. I think you'll like that one. But yeah, I don't think there's any best accessory. I would say the best accessory is going to be the one that attacks your weak point, whatever that may be. And if you really don't know, you can't go wrong with more back work, especially upper back work. All right. Let's see. Anything else coming in here? Any questions? There's some questions on YouTube. All right, guys, I'm going to try. I got a long list from the Instagram. I'm going to try to knock these out, okay? We have the hybrid hillbilly, Matt. What shoulder exercise is good to add to your bench? I think he means add to your bench routine or add weight to your bench. So, how I answered this the other day is I'm always going to be a fan of exercises that are going to stress you more. And if we think about that, that's going to be your big movement, such as your overhead press, your dumbbell overhead press, any variations of pressing, because pressing you're going to be able to handle the most weight. All right. Not that lateral raises thing don't have their place, but if I had to pick one that I think is going to deliver you the most results, I would say an overhead press or something similar. And if you can't do a standing barbell overhead press, maybe doing a neutral grip dumbbell seated overhead press, do a landmine overhead press. Those are very friendly for the shoulders and don't require, a big range of motion. If you can't get overhead, a landmine, you could press that out in front of you, still really stress your shoulders. So that's definitely one of my top picks. That's something I've been doing too in my training. Bamboo bar overhead presses. Been doing that twice a week for sets of 20, and then the landmine as well. I really like the landmine because you can be in a neutral grip. You don't have to be out here, and then have such a extended overhead range of motion. Matt also says, "What do you think of guys who do front raises as they unload the bar to hit their shoulders?" I'm totally cool with that too. It just really comes down to, are you trying to pick a bread and butter? Like, I can only pick one, because everything's gonna have its place. I think that's good. Front raises, I certainly do my lateral raises into front raises as well. But I mean, if you're gonna hold a gun to my head and say, "Hey, pick one, bench and Benny," I'm probably gonna have to say an overhead press. This is gonna stress you more. So it really just comes into what context you're talking about it. But those are great too. I think front raises are awesome. I've been noticing that I have to keep my arm at a certain angle, or else I get this weird clicking in my shoulder. So you might find you have to make some accommodations here and there, depending. Cyclonic Rabbit, the banded tape press works great. Anger, a stupid pump. Thanks for showing us those. Appreciate it, my friend. Glad you tried those out. Yeah, that banded tape press, guys. I mean, look that up on our YouTube. I think you're really gonna like that movement. You can load that thing up with some bands, and you get to 20 reps, it gets brutal. It really fatigues you near the end. All right, guys, let's go on to at PSC 65 1500. A lot of numbers there. Is it possible to add 75 pounds to my bench in 2 years? And what I said to this gentleman here is, I would not cap your potential. I believe this gentleman is about 50 years old. He was trying to hit a 500-pound bench by the time he turns 50. And I said, "Hey, the cards may be stacked against you. That adds 35 pounds in 2 years. I mean, that's a significant gain. And especially as you get older and the more time you've been training, those gains do not come as hefty as that." But I said to him, "Hey, don't ever put a cap on your potential. If someone's going to tell me they're going to add 75 pounds in 2 years, I mean, hey, go for it. Just realize when you have big goals like that, they require a big, hefty work ethic, and it's going to require a lot of work to get there. Most people have a threshold for work. You're only going to be able to do so much until it starts to burn you out, whatever. Some of these professional athletes, you just see them grinding, all right? And I know that's kind of on a highlight reel, but a lot of these professional athletes, that's what they do all day. They just work. They put in that work. So, you have to make the work match what your goals are. And for most people, I mean, this is not our job. You have other things going on. You come home to a family, your kids to feed. You got to think about going to bed at some point because you got work in the morning. So there's only so much you can do. And, it's if you want to be at that top of the game, you're going to require, like Eddie Cohen in his book, he said all he did was eat, sleep, and train. That was his day. That became his work. He didn't go to work and do manual labor jobs or sit at a desk. He ate, trained, and slept. He prioritized his recovery, beat himself up in the gym, prioritized recovery. So it's really making the work match what you're looking to do. So, hey, all power to you if you want to do that, my friend. It's definitely possible, but your work's going to have to reflect it. I'm not going to tell anyone they can't do that. I'll tell you, hey, maybe a more realistic goal might be so-and-so, but, hey, shoot for the moon, my friend. We have one from at Alex L. Thickboy. Bench injury prevention exercises for bench press, and he named off a bunch of different muscle groups and stuff. And what I said to Alex here is, higher rep movement for all those different muscle groups, your shoulders, tricep extensions, all that's going to help build some resiliency in that joint. All right, that high rep work, just getting the blood flowing, getting that pump, quote unquote. Okay, instead of beating ourselves up with heavy strength movement, really get that blood flow to the area, do a lot of high reps. It's not uncommon for us to program in tricep work that's gonna hit about 20 to 30 reps. Okay, and sometimes beyond. Sometimes I'll let someone just roll with a 100 rep set and then just break it down how you want. You can do 2 sets of 50, three sets of 33, whatever it is. So, um, yeah, any of that high rep work. Now we have a shoulder online course called Bulletproof Shoulders. It's by far probably our most popular one. We had a lot of signups for that course. Um, it is $9.99. In fact, all our courses, all past, present, it's all available. Bigbenches.podia.com. You can just go to our website, bigbenches.com. There's also a link there. But check out our online courses. We have, of course, our flagship online course. It's jam-packed. We actually have a preview that's free to go check that out, the preview videos of what you're going to get. Okay, you can break that down to 3 easy payments of 33. So it's not very, it's very cost effective. It's not an expensive thing, but it's jam packed with all the info I can give you in all logical order about how I'll teach it. So of course we have that flagship program, and then if you go down, all these smaller courses that we did are just $9.99. All right, one-time payment, and it's called Bulletproof Shoulders, and that was one of my favorite courses we did because I think it's really valuable. I talk about how to protect your shoulders in bench press technique. I talk about how to train your shoulders. I talk about how to prevent injury on your shoulders, and then I throw in a lot of cool warm-up ideas and some different mobility things you can try out that I found success with. So I would definitely, if you're concerned about your shoulders in any capacity, I would go give Bulletproof Shoulders a look through. A lot of people have said that that's helped them out considerably. So again, bigbenches.com. You can click on the online courses. It'll take you there. Okay. All right, we got any questions coming in? Make sure, guys, if you're watching, you want to ask anything, shoot away. I'm just answering. We had a lot come in from Instagram, which is awesome. So want to make sure we're hitting all these up. Mark says, good day, Bench and Benny. What's up, my friend? Thanks for joining in. Toyobusa. Hello, greetings from Holland. What's up, my friend from Holland? How we doing? Sip of coffee to you. We got viewers all over. Lifting Mailman, giving me the sunglasses finger thing. How we doing, my friend? All right, guys, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Let's answer some more here. Let's get into it. Big Wit 81. Should you let your air out as you press or hold it in? So I'm a big fan. I'll just hold your breath for the entirety of the set. I wouldn't say breathe out as you press. I definitely wouldn't ever tell someone that. I try to get our athletes to avoid doing that. But even if you're doing reps, say you're doing a 5-rep set, if you can hold your breath for the entirety of that set, or at least 3 solid reps, that's what I would do instead of trying to breathe each one. Try to hold that in as much as you can, get the most you can until you need to breathe again. All right. And if you're in a shitty place with that, so I'll give you a story. When I first started shirted lifting, I was working in Inzer Phenom. And one of the big issues I had was holding my breath for the entirety of the set. I'd usually conk out of the set and throw it back because I just didn't have the capacity, I guess, with my lungs and my breathing to hold that breath and take that pressure. It's a real shock to you the first time you're in a shirt. So I get that question asked a lot, especially in the shirt. I see people take the bar out and try to breathe in then. You want to set that breath in before that weight comes out. Get yourself prepared. Get that midsection brace. And then go through the entirety of the lift, without having to breathe again. Because I tell you, if I take a bench press out and I have to re-breath again, I'm probably going to lose that bench press. I'm just not going to be able to keep that tightness because I'm instantly going to start shifting to my shoulders. Okay? So it's a huge deal. And like I said, that's one of the biggest things for people starting out that struggle with when they get into a quick lift is they can't hold their breath. But trust me, guys, you are going to build up that capacity. Okay? You're going to build up that capacity. You just have to do it more. And pretty much all I did was said, hey, stop being a pussy, Coach Ben. You got to suck it up and just deal with it. And I just kind of had to get hard on myself with that. And lo and behold, you get better at it. So Yeah, hold your air in as long as you can. And nowadays, I can do a 5 rep set holding my breath, for the majority of it. Not really a problem. I've built that up. So I can go a long time squeezing and holding my breath like that. I'm ready. Had something coming from Matt here. Do you think cardio such as running affects strength gains in the bench press? So I think yes, and I think no. Uh, Running in high, so let me say long endurance type of exercise. So if you're running a long distance, I've always seen endurance athletes struggle with gaining strength. They certainly don't gain in strength as quickly, especially with those with a endurance background. I was training a lady who had a marathon background. I think that's really all she did for sports. And you build so much slow twitch fibers during that time to really create that oxidation you need to have the energy to do these things. It's totally opposite of what you're doing with strength training. Strength training, fast, explosive. Long distance running, slow endurance. You're building different muscle fiber types. So depending on your past, what you do early on can really affect how well you can be at either or. Can you do both? You can absolutely do both. And I think one of the best examples of that is Alex Viada. If you don't know him, definitely check him out. He was known, that was kind of his niche, was endurance running, being able to do marathons and do strength training. He was an incredibly strong athlete. I forget his numbers. I think he squats like 800 raw. Just some really impressive lifts. And he would do all these distance running. And I believe he had a program at one point where you had distance running included in with your strength training. But you have to properly break it down. You really have to dial in nutrition. I'd say it just makes things more clouded, makes things a little more complicated. If you're going to go and do your endurance stuff, I'd say it's more likely than not to negatively affect things. You know what I mean? But I don't want to say that you can't do both because you can certainly get strong at both. So it just makes you have to dial it in more. All right, is what I'm saying. It's like if you're cutting weight, you want majority of what you're eating to be more quality because if you're eating less, you want to make sure it's at least quality. If you're eating a shit ton, you don't really care. You're trying to gain weight. You can get away with more, quote unquote bad foods. All right, so you just have to dial it in more at the end of the day. Elite, whatever that is. How we doing, my friend? Hey, when I bench heavy weights, non-shirted, with an arch, my back muscles tend to cramp up, specifically my lats. Any suggestions? Yeah, so if it's a nutrition type issue where you're not getting proper hydration or you're lacking electrolytes or something, then I definitely recommend Noon Tabs. This is something that'll get you out of a lot of tricky situations. My last full power meet, I was really cramped up in the quads after squats and bench going into the deads. My back was wrecked by then. My quads, like I had a hard time walking around because my quads were locking up on me and stuff. And I was like, oh shit. But luckily, we had some Noon Tabs. I just ate them in my mouth. Yeah, they aren't good when you don't dilute them with water, but you get it in your system quick. And that helped me a lot. So, Noon Tabs are great. NUUN. I think they're popularized by Stan Efferding in powerlifting circles now because when he hit that world record total, yeah, that was a big thing he always talks about. He was just cramped up, couldn't move, and they just gave a bunch of Noon Tabs, and he was good to go. So that's one way to fix that. The other thing is if you're just not used to properly activating your lats or they're weak or, usually when something's weak, they'll cramp up. Hamstrings, core strength for me, like my abs, if I do any crunching type movements, I can finally do like isometric type moves like a plank. I can finally do that without cramping as much. But if I start crunching now and doing some of those type of flexion movements, I'll lock up and they'll just hold on me, and I won't be able to go anywhere. And then also hamstrings. My hamstrings are weak, then they're more likely to cramp up. So when I do finish some high rep sets of hamstrings, they'll cramp up real bad on me usually. So probably just need to build up your back more, or you need to do that type of activation more to condition yourself. Now I like the lying lat pullover hold. That's a great one for that. That's when you have I use a PVC or something. You lock out, you pull that down, and you just hold it here statically and bend the bar. That'll really help with that. let me say, Ian Stanajovic. Sorry if I said that wrong, my friend. Just want to say that your how to bench with long arms video helped me a ton. Appreciate that, my friend. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, I definitely understand. It's definitely tough to bench with longer arms. You know, and look at me, benching with or trying to deadlift with these short arms. So it goes the other way too. Um, so I mean, the pain I feel trying to deadlift with short arms, I'm sure is the same pain you feel trying to bench with long arms. But it can be done, and you know, one of the biggest things you have going for you is Josh Bryant's is a bigger eccentric loading phase. All right, so you're gonna get good spring off the chest. It's just, can we get your triceps and stuff up to par? Can we find ways to cut your range of motion? You know, all the stuff you saw in the video. So I'm really glad that's been helping out, my friend. Toyabusa, does it matter benching with a 32 millimeter or 28 millimeter thick bar? So I'll give you an example. I was benching somewhere that had an Ohio power bar, and then I had a Texas power bar. Now, I did not know that Ohio power bar actually is a little bit of a thicker diameter. And I always felt like something was different because I really loved the power bar, my Texas power bar. I always felt real strong with that. And then recently, just switching to the bar you see behind me here, this is a Sabertooth bench bar that Elite FTS sells, made by Texas Barbell. And it's thick, like almost like a squat bar thick. And I've been feeling like, I love the bar, great loadable handles, but I hate the thickness. I don't have huge hands. Just like I have short little arms, I don't have very big hands. Um, I'm just a short little limbed guy, I guess. But when they have a big thick bar in my hand, it's really tough to get that bar as low as I want it to be. The Iron Wolf bench bar that we use at RPS, nothing beats that bar. That bar is almost as thin as like a deadlift bar. Long handles, you can load that puppy up. I love benching with that bar. However, this is thick like a squat bar. You know, it's great to make training harder, and I'm sure once I go to RPS, it's going to be that big of a difference. But it does make a huge difference. I'll tell you what. Just having all that weight in your hands, it's much easier to steady it. You know, 800 pounds on a power bar to me is going to feel lighter than 800 pounds on this bar. I'll tell you that. I've noticed that firsthand. This bar is making things feel really heavy for me. And that's not just the bar thickness. A lot goes into that, but it certainly is making it harder to keep that bar in the right spot, to keep my wrists where I want them. I'm noticing more and more, especially with reps, I'm getting bent back. And so it's a big deal. If you have bigger hands, maybe not, but certainly for me, it's a bigger deal. Why have something thicker? Well, it's not going to bend as much. So then you're talking about when you're benching 800 pounds, you know, the whip of the bar has to be considered too. So when you go to press up, you know, the weight's kind of folding down and going up and down kind of. All right, you don't want to catch that second wave per se of that weight coming back down. You see Blaine Sumner try to squat like that. It's scary. It just kind of hits you again. Um, but yeah, I noticed a huge difference. I'm really glad you brought that up. That's something that I should actually do a video on because it does matter, especially if you have little hands. I've noticed a big difference. Okay. Lift the Mailman. I like fat grips for bench. Ever try them? No, I have not, my friend. Usually to the same point because it will make it so hard and I have these little hands. But hey, yeah, that's a great example of making things harder so that when you go back to whatever, it's easier. So maybe something I got to do a little bit more of, right? I have done an axle bar, and an axle bar is just a thicker bar. Think like the Donnie Thompson fat bar. I have done that more so for floor pressing and stuff, and that's challenging in itself. But yeah, I'm all about making training harder so you go to a meet. So, you know, maybe some will be freaking out about that type of situation. But hey, I just view it as I know I can probably get more when I go to a meet and be more confident with it. And I'd rather have that. You know, I'd rather have training be really hard and then everything go perfect when you go to a meet. That's what it's all about. And I hate to see lifters who get everything so perfect in their training. They dial everything in. You know, the loud music, they get hyped up, people yelling them on, ammonia, great footing, and all this good stuff. And they go to a meet and it's a total shit show of a situation and they just can't handle it because they've been training in perfect conditions. So whenever you can make training harder for yourself, the bar, you know, no music, I don't know, less ammonia, less hype, more pausing. You know, it's all going to benefit you when you go to a meet. Yes, iconic rabbit. Good point there. Obviously, the when the bar is thicker, you're gonna have less grip strength around it. So, squeezing a walnut versus squeezing an orange, he says, that's a great way to put it, my friend. Um, yeah, so you definitely start to feel the difference there. P. Borrego, 89. On single ply bench, do you fly your elbows when you start to press or do you keep them tucked in? So I wouldn't think about, so I guess you could say you just keep the spread. I don't know what you mean by the fly, just the terminology used there, but um, I would definitely look to, and this is the biggest thing that helped me a ton, get that spread. So get the weight out, really spread into the sleeves, stretch that chest plate over you. Okay, start to ride it down while keeping your elbows driven out against the shirt. Think spread, 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 and then when you start locking up the chest plate, you have to start traveling to the belly. Then you tuck. All right, then you start to tuck down. You kind of land it more like an airplane than a helicopter. Okay, so at first, I'd keep them spread, 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 lock up the collar, now start to tuck towards the belly. And then, of course, when you come back, you have to be good at keeping your back engaged, using the pad as leverage, and then just twisting the elbows out as you go to lock out. All right, so that's something that helped me tremendously. A tool that helped me really dial that in, Rich Putnam's Freak Band, the way that is made. It's just like a knee wrap that goes around your elbows, and you can really groove it like a shirt. So I say if you want to get that down, get that tool. Slingshot ain't going to do the same thing. The Titan Ram doesn't really do quite the same. Get that tool, benchfreak.com, and just groove some light reps. Or just wear a shirt and groove some light reps. There's nothing wrong to going light in a shirt and just feeling that out, going to where you can. Ali Veli, I can't decide bar path. What's your suggestion? So we have some videos on that on our YouTube, my friend. I guess I'll leave you with that because that can kind of be a mouthful. Bar path, just search Big Bench's bar path on YouTube, and we have a lot of great resources for that. I've done a couple good videos on that. Toyobusa, I found out I can bench more with a thick bar. Thin bars bent more with heavy weight. Ivanko bars bent a lot. Yeah, so it goes both ways. I mean, you look at a guy like Jimmy Cobb. He's benching. He's had like 1,200 pounds on his saber-tooth bar. He loves his bar. All right, he loves that bar. But I'm willing to bet he has much, more bear paws than I do, and he doesn't notice that as much. He notices more the whip in the bar versus how thick the bar is. I notice less whip because I'm not traveling a long range. I'm noticing much less whip. That's never been something that concerned me. But the diameter of the bar really affects me. So it's just one of those scenarios where diameter doesn't affect him as much. He prefers that because he gets less whip, so it helps him. I don't travel very far. I have these small little hands, so I need something that's a lot thinner. And I have shitty grip strength anyway. I can't hold on to deadlift to save my life at a freaking meet. Winnie, any tips to bench with winged scapula? Yeah, so I'm assuming that you probably have a scap that's not moving very well, that maybe a little bit displaced. And again, it comes down to doing what you can to fix that. It should be going to a PT and things like that to get some recommended exercises to get that therapy, get you back on point. But I mean, if you're just really doing what you can with your restrictions, so everything I talk about, I mean, nothing's going to change really per se. It's just going to be trying to optimize it for you. You know what I mean? So like if you have long arms per se, that's not going to help you on the bench. But I mean, nothing really changes. Everything I talk about is the same. You just have to kind of deal with it as a long arm bencher. So I work with some athletes who they're very kind of disproportional. They, you get some shoulder hiking up here and whatnot. Best we can do is really have them key in on how they're setting up, trying to get them to feel the right position. Because sometimes it's just, if they try to get tight on one side, sometimes you just have to kind of place them in that neutral position and then just get the work in there and build that up. But yeah, nothing really changes. I mean, we're just still executing the same way that I talk about. See anything coming in here? Yeah, Matt gave you some great tips there. Matt's a PT, by the way, guys. That'll be Matt. He's in our VIP membership. He posts awesome videos. I appreciate that, Matt. Um, he's always great with that stuff. So that, yeah, definitely any type of, you know, mobility restrictions, things like that, injuries, all that's best to go see a good PT. Bank Cosma. Why could I bench 10 pounds more with a close grip versus the wide grip, not ultra wide? I've always used a wide grip and I am around 15% body fat. So he benched 10 pounds more with a close grip versus he's always been wide and he didn't bench as much wide. Well, maybe you have strong triceps, or maybe you're loading your lats better in a closer grip. I mean, a lot could come down to that. Um, so it's hard to pinpoint, but obviously you're stronger, closer grip, so something's conducive for you to be closer grip. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. Maybe you should just switch to closer grip. Um, wider grip actually your weakness, but you train it a lot. I would work on prioritizing your close grip for a while. See where that can take you. All right, so that's not a bad thing. The way that's worded almost makes it sound like it's kind of a bad thing in a way, but hey, roll with the close grip, my friend. Whatever grip works for you. Don't necessarily have to be wide, um, so it's really just based on whatever's working for you. Eric Bell, favorite track to bench to, other than Thunderstruck, of course. Hey, I love me some AC/DC. I'm an odd one with that, my friend. I always get made fun of with the crew because, I mean, I'll throw freaking Tom Petty on or some 80s classic rock. I'm really all over the map. Some country songs fire me up. Hey, if it's a song I like and there's like maybe there's a good kicker in it where something just starts to hit and, it lights you up. Whatever music you can vibe to, my friend. I mean, obviously there's going to be those ones where you classify more as, hey, this is just good listening versus I'm going to lift heavy to this. But hey, anything that fires me up, I listen to Tom Petty, Won't Back Down. That's been my go-to. A lot of WWE theme songs, some AEW theme songs. I'm a big wrestling guy, so um, a lot of those theme songs hype me up. Kenny Omega's theme, him coming out, that hypes me up. So, yeah, whatever gets the ticket done for you, my friend. We can get through a few more here from the Instagram. We had a lot of great ones come in. Let's go at Ponytail Powerlifter. She says, I'm having issues being female and having a large chest. To get a shirt to sit right, any suggestions on that? Okay, so this is a common issue for females. To get the shirt to really construct right to work for them because, they got the extra meat here in the front. So what my suggestion is the same thing I would tell flat back benchers, those who do not arch much. I've seen good results with getting a stock shirt sized up so that the chest plate's going to fit. The chest plate's going to be a little bit more expanded for you. Therefore, with a stock shirt, the arms are probably going to be very large. So get the sized up stock shirt and then get the sleeves pinched after the fact. Okay, so send it in for alterations, get the sleeves tightened up where you need. Or you could just go about the process of ordering a custom shirt. Now, I don't know if you can do that through Inzer. I'm sure when you call them and ask, maybe you can get that set up. But I know Titan offers some custom sizing options. I'm not sure if they're the only ones. I know Overkill is only custom sizing. She also happened to lift in a federation, though, that has some restrictions. So, that kind of throws a wrench in it, too. But that would be the same suggestion I give to someone who benches with a flat arch or doesn't have an arch, because you're going to travel so far that you're going to need an expanded chest because you're not going to continue to be able to stretch that chest well. All right. Let's see. The drums, Dan Roberg, the drums to In the Air tonight, Phil Collins. And he loves Tom Petty. Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I don't think that can't pump anybody up. I don't know if people will lift to it all the time, but I certainly could. I'm with you. Matthew Hoth, how you fix brachialis pain? Got it from switching closer grip with more upright wrists. So I've definitely had that. I tell you what, getting deep tissue massage has been a real godsend for a lot of those issues, and a lot of the times I just need proper rest and recovery too. Probably I'm doing something in my training that I got to key down on. A lot of it is just training up, switching up your training variables as well, because they're spurring on whatever's happening. I mean, there's only so much work you do on them. I can do soft tissue till the cows come home. I can. It's usually after you develop a different muscle group too. Like the extensors of your hand is always great to do too. They sell those X band, the X band things there. You can work on the extensors of the hand, because otherwise my hand just is stuck like this. It's a natural position, that bench grip, and I can't barely supinate my arm. So I mean, all those things are factors. You just want to be a person that moves well. Of course, with powerlifting, we're going to develop those types of tendencies. So it's just trying to work with them. Again, go see PT, go get deep tissue massage. That helps me tremendously, because you're not going to fix everything at the end of the day. We're not going to all be perfect anatomical structures, but we're going to work with what we can do, and we're going to try our best to get us to a good place. Bank Cosma, is there a way to increase my arch? Mine is always really small despite me trying to arch as much as possible. So I'm gonna point you to our YouTube video for that. I did one that's not too long ago, so you can just kind of go through most recent, and it's how to increase your bench arch. And I think I put a lot of great mobility type work in there, as well as how to get the most out of your technique too. But that was a real good all-encompassing video. So I'll point you in that direction, my friend. I think that'll be a really good video for you. Matthew says, thank you. I'll get some soft tissue work done. I appreciate you too, Matt. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. But yeah, the key is getting someone that's good. I mean, you can go and try to get deep tissue massage, and, it's just kind of foo-foo. But, luckily I know someone who, she is tremendous with the deep tissue massage. She'll dig in there. No holds barred. And it really helps. It really helps, and you notice the difference once you're not doing it. So definitely would be a great thing to do. And I know a lot of benchers who will get that extra recovery work done, whether they're going to see a PT, getting some work done there, or, they're going and getting deep tissue or anything like that. Sometimes you really stumble on something that helps a lot for you. What's up, Alex? Alexander Perez. He's on our coaching program. Hey, Coach. And also, shout out to Alex. He's actually opened up a gym. I believe you're in the Rochester, New York area there. So stay tuned for that. I think that's coming in August, but I want to shout out his place. Hey, Coach. Suicide open grip versus conventional grip on bench. Any thoughts? Yes. And let me know too on the Coach Now app as well. I'll send you that link to the video where I discuss that. It's a great topic, my friend. So to go over that real quick, the benefits of a false grip, benching without your thumb over the bar, is that you can tune in with your lats so much better, because you don't have the ability to bend on the bar or create stability like that. You don't have the ability to really squeeze extra through the arms. So you eliminate some of that extra arm involvement, and then you can really focus on loading into the lats, because you have to. You're forced to, because you can't bend into the bar. But then on the flip side, having the closed grip, you can bend into the bar, and that's invaluable. And I'd always want someone to do that. To get the best of both worlds, I've found, instead of death gripping it like this, right, and squeezing with the thumb, squeeze it like you would false grip, and just leave the thumb, as opposed to on the back of the bar, just drop it in the front of the bar. All right, don't squeeze with the thumb. Just leave it there as an anchor, so you can still bend into it, but at the end of the day, you're not death gripping it in the front and getting more activations out of everything. So you can bend into the bar now, but you also can load your lats a little more efficiently. And that's how I would attack the grip there, is just to leave the thumb hanging out. Ali Veli, should my elbow be slightly in front of the bar when lowering the bar? I would say no to that, my friend, especially if you are a raw bencher. I would say no. That would probably be into the category of leading with the elbows. We just posted a video on that too, so definitely check that out. I think that'll help you out a ton. Bent Gosma will super high rep band push down solve my elbow pain with skull crushers. Some people say that. Hey, potentially, I've found that I'm more conducive for skull crushers if I warm up properly to them. I don't want to go into a working weight right away with a skull crusher, so I've found just doing a really light skull crusher, using an easy bar handle so I can go more neutral grip. Maybe getting a neutral grip bar um, makes it much more conducive for me to do that exercise. If I do them really heavy right off the bat, no go, no go. Matt's got a football question. We got Cam to the Pats. What are your thoughts? Bucks Pats Super Bowl. I would love to see that, my friend. That would be a dream come true, especially if we could see it with fans. But hey, Cam to the Pats. Now here's my thoughts on that. I was hoping all along they wouldn't sign Cam Newton, but hey, they signed Cam Newton. Um, I don't write Jarrett Stidham off. I still think that Jarrett Stidham could be the guy. Okay. Obviously, they know more of him than we do. He's been there over a year now, and what I think might happen is a Cam could potentially get cut. So I think he's either going to be the starter or he's getting cut. There's no way he's going to play second fiddle, nor does he want to. I think it's one of those scenarios like they bring in Reggie Wayne, right? He comes in, he gets cut right away. He just didn't hack it. Some people just can't hack it. So I think it's one of those scenarios where, hey, if he comes in, he learns the playbook right away, he really shows his shit, has a good preseason, maybe he's the starter. But then on the flip side, I think it's more of an insurance policy. I think Jarrett Stidham's ready to roll. And I think if Jarrett Stidham does a great job, I think he's going to be the starter. And we're going to see Cam actually get cut. And then I think everyone's going to explode about it. But I was hoping they wouldn't sign him all along. But, they got him super cheap. He's a good insurance policy. He's a former MVP. Let's see what he's got. That's my thoughts. But I'm like 50-50 on if he's actually going to be the starter, to be honest with you. That's just me. But I always love a good football question. Thanks for dropping that in, Matt. Um, let's knock out a few more. I got a few more from Instagram here, guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in and continuing to watch here. It means a lot to me. You guys are checking this out. At Drew Farrell, 77. Close grip bench or reverse grip bench for strong triceps? That's a good question. Now, Drew, I don't do much reverse grip bench. Now, this is something that I actually want to start playing around with a little bit more, especially since my shoulder's been bothering me. I'm trying to find some more ways to continue raw benching to some degree. So I'm going to start playing around with reverse grip bench a little bit more. But to answer your question, if you're trying to develop triceps, I think the reverse grip bench is a little more conducive for loading your lats and working around, really prioritizing the shoulders and whatnot. I don't know how it feels on the triceps. I want to say there's triceps to some degree for sure, but I see it more as a way to hit your back. I don't think anything's going to hit your triceps better than a close grip bench. Close grip bench really going to prioritize your tricep, especially if you do a super close grip but go to a board height. I don't think you're going to get better than that, but while both may hit your triceps, I think you're better off close grip if you really want to bring it up. At Dixon 4542. Now this one, my friends, this is a great prelude into something that we're doing here. First time in a bench shirt. How do I train in it? It could be a loaded question here, or a loaded answer. I got a lot to say. Like the short story here, just start training in it. Make sure you have help. Make sure you have spots. Start training. That's how I had to learn. Get a coach to help you out would be the most valuable thing to do. I wish I did that earlier on. I actually had that who's coaching me now, Jamie Mata, up in Fairhaven, Vermont. He's actually one that showed me, originally how to really groove in the shirt and stuff long ago. So, kind of full circle there, but. That would be the best thing you can do is get a coach to help you with that. But make sure you have the crew and just start training it. I had to learn from my mistakes. You just gotta have to do it. Someone can give you all the advice you need to ride a bike, but the first time you go and ride a bike, you ain't gonna magically be freaking Lance Armstrong, right? You're gonna have to go through the reps. Same thing in a bench shirt. You could take everything I could ever give you, but eventually you're just gonna have to do. And you're gonna have to get reps. Same deal. But this is a great preload into I'm doing a shirted bench course. Now, this is the same type of big flagship type of course that we have with our 6 week program included that big bench course I was talking about. You can go to bigbenches.com and you see the courses button. This is going to be a big project as well. We have a ton of videos in here. It's another 40 plus, 50 plus video long course. Now breaking articles in there. I've got videos in there, time lapse videos of myself training too. The breaking protocols, how to break in a shirt, how to start grooving a shirt, different types of shirts, what you want to look for, what you want to get. Everything's in there. I sat down and I was like, what does everyone need to know getting into a shirt? And it's just an all-encompassing thing, how to train in the shirt, how to keep yourself injury-free, jam-packed with everything I can offer you. And we are still filming that. That's going to be a few more weeks, but I'm hoping to have that course ready August sometime is probably the time frame we're looking at. August, early September, or late August, early September, something like that. But man, when that comes out, guys, I mean, this has to be the gospel for sure to benching. This is going to be a jam-packed course. I filmed a bunch of great stuff, so as amped as I am about that other bench course we have for raw lifting, but for anyone really, I'm amped about this project we're working on. And then poor Elvis, man, he comes by the film, and I stuck him in a bench shirt for a good 2 hours. He's stuck in like this, and we're just filming stuff. So God bless him. He's no shirt of bencher, so that's it's a whole different thing for him to throw on a shirt. Let's see. I want to make sure we covered all this. I think we hit everything. It's awesome, guys. Got through all these Instagram questions. I'll take some from here now. All right, Paul Powerlifter 20. I got one of those bench blocks that goes on the barbell. Love it for triceps. How many days you bench in 6-week program per week? I'm not sure if you're asking about my 6-week program, off season, or the traditional one I have that ends in a 1-rep max test, or you're asking about my training. I guess I'll answer both. First off, bench blocks, guys, if anyone wants to get some bench blocks, if you go to BenchBlock's site, we do have a discount code with Steven Bench Blocks. It's Big Benches 10. They'll save you 10%. So, if you are in the market for bench blocks, you can save a little there. Again, Big Benches 10 if you go to BenchBlock's website. He says how many days you bench in the 6-week program. So if you're talking about the 6-week program that I sell on the site, there is 3 days benching. There's 2 main days and then a recovery day. So usually someone will throw this in with their squat and deadlift training as well. And that recovery day can kind of be paired in with a squat or a deadlift day. So that's a more versatile day. And if you don't get to that day, it's not the end of the world. But there is 2 main benching days that you're going to want to get in. And that goes for off-season program and our normal 6-week program. And my personal training, I'm benching 2 times a week as well with a back specific day. So I have back training in all the days. I have glutes and hamstrings and stuff on Monday. Monday is my squat and deadlift day. I do a lot of back work, and I do some bench accessories. I train triceps, things like that. Tuesday, like today, we're going to be hitting, I do some benching, kind of your normal bench session. I mean, I'll hit back after your triceps and shit. Thursday is kind of a back-specific day. It's mostly back work. I do a little shoulder work, too. And then Fridays, that's when I go heavy on the bench. I'm in the shirt and really trying to throw some weight around. So that's kind of how I'm laid out right now. Hopefully that answers your question there, my friend. I mean, we're out of Instagram questions, so just taking any questions that come in through here. All right. Appreciate everyone joining in. Hey, if you want to get involved with the team, VIP membership, go to bigbenches.com. I always want to plug this because it's going to be super valuable for you guys. This is one of our best offerings, less than $10 a month. We're doing some really cool stuff in there. We have another challenge going right now, our 10K a day challenge. So we're going for 10K steps a day. If you got your Fitbit or whatever, it's great to go along with it. We're all encouraging each other to just move more, get conditioning in and all that. So, hey, you have the VIP membership, guys. If you love our content, podcasts, YouTubes, we have exclusive content in there on squat, bench, deadlift tips, And we have a great community of lifters. We're all pushing each other to get better. I do video critiques there. Um, I try to have webinars every now and then for the team as well. We cover a lot of good info. Can ask questions there, all that stuff. So, it's a great community to be a part of. Be able to join the team. You receive a lifetime discount to BigBenches.com. So I really think the value is jam packed there. For what it is, less than $10 a month. I mean, or you can just prepay the year at $99. We got a lot of great stuff there. So, and I'm always trying to add all the program templates, guys. Just the value of those alone, those are all free if you're on a VIP membership. So, if you need more reasons to get involved there, that's the place to be. So, all right, guys, I appreciate everyone. Again, you can go to BigBenches.com, check out the VIP group. But I am going to cap this off. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. We're hitting about an hour here, so I want to shut down. But hey, truly appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And set your reminders next Tuesday. Back at it. All right, catch you guys.